Sit with me for a moment, just a little while like two old friends talking on a quiet porch. At this age, we've lived through enough seasons to recognize that some of the simplest things we often overlook, can carry the power to change an entire life. And the breath, yes, just the breath is one of those things. You know, for decades, we've moved through life carried by responsibilities, worries, and the constant noise inside our own minds. Sometimes we think we're living, but really we're only existing, like a machine that's forgotten what it feels like to rest. But a single mindful breath, just one, is enough to bring you back home to yourself. Mindful breathing is a sacred bridge, a quiet pathway back to the place within you that has always been waiting. When you inhale deeply and slowly, you're not just taking in air. You're welcoming life clarity and a sense of peace your heart has been longing for. And when you exhale gently, the way someone closes a door softly behind them, you're letting go of tension, of old worries, and of the unspoken weight you've carried for years. The breath is the simplest map life has ever handed us. It guides us out of unconscious tension, back to full presence, to the place where your heart, no matter what it has endured, can still remember its own peace. And you don't have to do anything extraordinary. Just breathe and allow your breath to lead you back to life itself. All right, let's continue. If the breath is the bridge that brings you home, then letting go is the moment you finally sit down inside that home and allow yourself to rest. You see, many people misunderstand letting go. They think it means giving up or losing something or walking away defeated. But at 60 years old, after watching so many lives unfold, including my own, I can tell you with certainty letting go has nothing to do with surrendering to weakness. It has everything to do with returning to your own inner freedom. Letting go is like loosening a knot you've been carrying in your chest for decades. The knot made you smaller, tighter, afraid to move. And the moment you soften it, even just a little, the energy inside you begins to flow again naturally, like water finding its way home. You don't abandon your past when you let go. You simply stop allowing it to hold you hostage. You don't erase your pain. You stop carrying it as though it defines you. You don't turn your back on life. You finally turn your face toward the present moment, the only place where healing is possible. Letting go feels a lot like exhaling after holding your breath for far too long. It's the relief, the spaciousness, the quiet sense of I don't have to keep fighting this anymore. And that's the beauty of it. When you let go, you don't lose anything essential. You gain yourself back. So today, give yourself permission to loosen that inner grip even just a little. Feel how your heart softens, how your shoulders drop, how your breath becomes easier. Letting go isn't the end of something, it's the beginning of your return to inner peace. Let's move a little deeper together. If breathing brings you back and letting go frees your heart, then inner silence is the place where your true self finally begins to speak. You know, the world has grown so loud these days. Even when the room is quiet, the noise doesn't stop. The notifications, the responsibilities, the opinions, the memories that show up uninvited. Most people aren't really hearing life. They're just reacting to it like a leaf tossed around by the wind. But when you sit in inner silence, real silence, something shifts. It's not the absence of sound. It's the absence of pressure. It's the first time in a long time you're not chasing anything, fixing anything, or defending yourself from anything. In that stillness, the soul finally finds enough space to speak, and its voice is nothing like the world's voice. The world shouts, the soul whispers. The world demands, the soul invites. The world pushes you forward, the soul gently brings you inward. When you close your eyes and breathe softly, thoughts will come. They always do. They'll remind you of old fears, unfinished tasks, conversations from years ago. Let them rise. Let them move. Let them pass like clouds drifting across an open ski. Eventually, a quiet clarity emerges, a sense of here I am, a recognition of the part of you untouched by age, untouched by noise, untouched by the case of life. That's the voice of your soul, steady, wise, and patient. It's been waiting for you longer than you know. And when you listen to it, even for a moment, something inside you relaxes in a way nothing else can offer. You stop reacting to the world's noise and start responding from your own truth. Inner silence doesn't take time. It only takes willingness. Sit with it even for a few breaths and you'll remember everything you've been searching for has been quietly waiting within you all along. Now let's walk into the next doorway of this journey together. There's a reason so many ancient traditions, from the Himalayan monks to the native elders of this land, speak about light as the essence of healing. They weren't talking about something mystical or unreachable. They were pointing to a truth that every one of us can feel when we close our eyes and breathe with intention. When you imagine a warm, golden light entering your body, you're not pretending or playing with fantasies. You're awakening a memory older than your name, older than your story, older even than your pain. Our ancestors called this light the source of life. The first spark that moved through the universe, the current that shaped stars, rivers, and human breath. They believed, and I've seen it in my own work, that this light still lives within us, waiting for a moment to rise. When you welcome that golden glow through the crown of your head, you're inviting that ancient current to move again. And as it travels down through your face, your chest, your belly, your legs, something quiet begins to unlock. Not through effort, but through remembrance. It softens the places you've held tight for years. It brightens the corners of your heart you forgot existed. It washes through your old fears, your old stories, your old wounds, not to erase them, but to loosen their grip. This light doesn't come from outside. It comes from the same source that carried your ancestors through hardship, through loss, through change. It's the light that allowed them to endure, so you could one day take your place here. And the moment you let it flow through you, your body understands exactly what to do. Your cells respond. Your breath deepens. Your energy reorganizes itself like water returning to its natural path. Healing doesn't begin with the mind. It begins with remembering the light that has always lived inside you. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and let that golden stream move through you. It's not imagination, it's your birthright. Let's continue, my friend. You know, after 50, something subtle happens to many of us. We become experts at caring for everyone else, our partners, our children, our aging parents, even our co-workers. But somewhere along the way, we forget how to care for ourselves with the same tenderness. That's why mindful touch is so important. It's not just placing your hands on your chest or your belly. It's a conversation, a quiet, honest conversation with your own heart. When you rest your palms on your body with presence, you're saying something you may not have said to yourself in decades. I'm here with you. I see you. You're not alone. And for many people over 50, these are words the soul has been waiting to hear. You see, the body remembers everything, every loss, every disappointment. Every year we told ourselves to be strong when what we really needed was comfort. A mindful touch doesn't judge any of that. It simply offers warmth the way a parent wraps a blanket around a child on a cold night. Feel the warmth beneath your palms, that steady pulse of life. That's your body responding to kindness the way a flower opens to sunlight. You don't need training. You don't need spiritual titles. You just need presence. In that gentle contact, tensions soften, old emotions rise and release, and your heart opens just a little more, enough for healing to slip in. At this age, kindness toward yourself is no longer a luxury. It's a necessity. So tonight, place your hands on your chest, breathe softly, and listen. In that simple, mindful touch, you'll find a doorway back to yourself. A doorway many of us have forgotten but never truly lost. Let's keep going together. There's something I've learned after working with so many people in their 50s, 60s, and even beyond. Emotions don't disappear just because time passes. They settle into the body, into the shoulders, the jaw, the breath, even the way we stand. And here's the deeper truth. Most of us were never taught emotional energy never dies. It transforms. Every sorrow, every ache in the heart, every moment we swallowed our words when we should have spoken, they don't vanish. They simply wait patiently until we're ready to breathe them into a new shape. That's why a deep conscious breath is so powerful. When you inhale with awareness, you're not just filling your lungs, you're gathering the raw, unrefined energy of your past experiences. And when you exhale slowly and deliberately, you're reshaping that energy into something lighter, something wiser. Pain becomes understanding, fear becomes clarity, old wounds become compassion. With every mindful breath, you're turning your lived history into wisdom. Not by force, but by allowing the energy to move again instead of being trapped. Think of it like a river. When water is still, it grows cloudy. When it flows, it becomes clear. Your emotional energy is the same. It only becomes heavy when it stops moving. So the next time a feeling rises, tightness in the chest, a knot in the stomach, a heaviness behind the eyes, don't push it away. Breathe into it. Invite it to flow. Let the inhale draw it in with honesty, and let the exhale soften it into something new. Over time, breath after breath, you'll start to see what I've seen in so many wise souls. Pain does not have to define you. It can become your teacher. It can become your strength. And with each deep breath, you're shaping that transformation with your own hands. Let's step into this next part with the same gentle pace. There's a simple evening ritual I often share with people in their 50s and 60s. Something ancient, humble, and deeply human, the cleansing practice with water before sleep. It may sound symbolic, even too simple at first glance, but rituals have survived for thousands of years for a reason. They speak the language of the soul, not the mind. And this one helps you return what no longer belongs to you. Here's the truth. As we move through life, we collect things we never meant to carry. Old memories, unspoken disappointments, little hurts that stuck to us the way dust sticks to a window. By nightfall, the body is heavier than we realize. But water, this ancient living element, has always known how to receive and transform. Our ancestors trusted it to hold stories, to cleanse pain, to carry away what the heart was ready to release. And in this quiet ritual, you're doing exactly that. You simply hold a glass of clear water between your hands, feel its coolness, take a few slow breaths, and with sincerity, not force you, whisper something like, "May this water take from me the memories I no longer need. May it help my body rest. May it help my soul return to its natural balance." In that moment, you're not performing magic. You're giving your body permission to let go. You're telling the universe, I'm ready to release what has finished its purpose. Take a sip with gratitude. Leave the rest by your bedside and let the night do its quiet work. By morning, pour that water gently into the earth, a plant, a garden, even a small patch of soil. Watch it disappear like old memories finally finding a place to rest. This ritual is more than cleansing. It's a way of saying to yourself, I don't have to carry everything anymore. A simple act, yes, but sometimes the simplest acts are the ones that finally set us free. Let's take a quiet breath together as we move into this next truth. Presence. Such a small word, but it carries the weight of centuries of wisdom. You know, in all my years working with people over 50, I've noticed something remarkable the moment a person becomes fully present. Even for just a few seconds, something inside them softens. Their breath deepens, their shoulders release, their eyes brighten as if someone lifted a veil they didn't know they were wearing. Presence is the oldest medicine we have, older than any philosophy, older than any spiritual tradition. When you are truly here, not lost in yesterday, not worrying about tomorrow, your whole being quietly reorganizes itself. The body unclenches, the mind stops chasing. The spirit finally has room to breathe again. It's almost miraculous how simple it is, and yet how often we forget. We've been trained our whole lives to multitask, to plan ahead, to analyze, to anticipate. But no one ever taught us how to simply be here in this breath, in this moment, without rushing past it. And the strange thing is, healing doesn't happen in the past. It doesn't happen in the future. It only happens in now. When you bring your full presence to this very moment, feeling your hands, your breath, the weight of your body on the chair, you're giving your nervous system a signal it has longed for. You're safe. You can rest. And in that safety, the body begins to rebalance itself. The mind begins to settle. The spirit begins to expand. Presence isn't a technique, it's a homecoming. So as you sit here listening, let yourself arrive fully. Feel the air around you. Feel the breath moving through you. Feel the quiet truth that you are already enough, already whole, already here. In presence, healing doesn't need to be forced. It unfolds on its own, just as naturally as the breath that carries you through each moment of your life. Let's continue slowly, gently, as we step into one of the most tender truths of the healing journey. You see, many of us, especially after 50, carry a quiet belief that something inside us is broken. Maybe it comes from old regrets, or years of holding everything together for everyone else, or simply from the weight of time. We start thinking we need to fix ourselves as if we were a problem waiting to be solved. But healing doesn't begin with fixing, it begins with accepting. Accepting the parts of you that still hurt. Accepting the pieces you've tried to hide. Accepting the chapters you wish had gone differently. These fragments of your story aren't flaws. They are lived experience, raw, unfinished, deeply human. And when you turn toward them with compassion instead of judgment, something remarkable happens. They begin to soften, to integrate, to come home. Think of yourself as a mosaic. If one piece is removed or rejected, the whole image becomes incomplete. But when every fragment, even the cracked ones, is welcomed, the picture becomes whole again. You're not here to erase your past. You're here to embrace it enough that it no longer controls you. Acceptance doesn't mean approving of what happened. It simply means acknowledging. This is part of my story, and I no longer need to fight it. And in that moment, the battle inside you quiets, the heart relaxes, the mind loosens its grip. You stop being at war with yourself, and that peace right there is what allows true healing to begin. So instead of asking, "How do I fix myself?" try asking, "Which part of me is asking to be understood today?" When you welcome every piece of your journey with tenderness, you're not falling apart. You're finally coming together. Let's move into this next truth with a softer breath. There's a practice I often teach, especially to those in their 50s and 60s, because by that age, life has already shown us how fragile the body can feel. The joints ache a little more. The breath feels shorter on some days, and it's easy to forget that we are more than this physical form. That's where light breathing comes in, a simple practice yet profound in the way it shifts your awareness. When you breathe in light, yes, just visualizing light, you're doing two things at once. You're meditating and you're remembering. Remembering that you are not only bones and skin and stories from the past. You are a soul, a luminous being temporarily housed inside a body that is doing its best to carry you through this chapter of existence. As you inhale, imagine drawing in a soft, radiant light. Feel it entering your chest, expanding your lungs, warming the spaces that have grown cold from worry or time. Let it move through you the way sunrise moves through a quiet room. And when you exhale, let that same light wash outward, clearing old fears, loosening emotional dust, creating room for clarity and peace to settle in. This is not just visualization. This is remembering who you are beneath the daily noise, beneath the aches, beneath the roles you've played for decades. You are not a body trying to be spiritual. You are a spiritual being learning how to live inside a body. And every time you breathe light, you reconnect with that truth. The body softens, the mind widens, the soul steps forward just a little more. So the next time you feel small, tired, or limited, take a slow breath of light. Let it remind you that your essence is unlimited, and that this life with all its beauty and challenges is something your soul chose to experience, not endure. Breathe in light, breathe out light, and let yourself remember who you truly are. Let's take this next step together, slowly, like walking beside a quiet river at dusk. Water has always been one of humanity's oldest teachers. Before science, before religion, before philosophy, our ancestors understood something that we in our modern rush often forget. Water remembers. Not in the way a mind remembers, but in the way nature remembers, quietly, instinctively, faithfully. Water absorbs. It responds. It reflects back whatever is placed into it. And that's why gratitude spoken to water is more than a poetic idea. It's a way of rebalancing the energy within yourself. When you hold a glass of water and whisper a thank you, not out of habit but with sincerity, your entire field of energy shifts. You're acknowledging something life-giving, something ancient, something that has flowed through oceans, clouds, and rivers long before you were born. You're aligning yourself with a rhythm older than memory itself. As someone who has worked with many people over 50, I can tell you gratitude is one of the few things that can soften the heart instantly. And when you offer that gratitude to water, you're not just blessing the water, you're blessing yourself. You're saying, I'm ready to let my energy settle. I'm ready to return to balance. Because just like water, your emotions flow when they're honored. Just like water, your energy clears when it's recognized. Just like water, your heart becomes gentler when gratitude touches it. So the next time you pour a glass, pause for a moment. Feel its coolness. Whisper a quiet thank you. In that tiny act of presence and appreciation, you're not changing the universe. You're changing your relationship with it. And the universe always responds to that kind of harmony. Let's walk gently into this next truth, one that I hold very close to my own heart. So many people, once they cross the threshold of 50, begin to fear their own bodies. They notice the stiffness in the mornings, the slower recovery, the little aches that didn't exist in their 30s. And they think, I'm getting weaker. I'm falling apart. But let me tell you something from the perspective of someone who has lived more years than I once expected. Your body after 50 isn't failing you. It's finally being honest with you. In your younger years, the body is like a loyal friend who stays quiet even when things aren't right. It absorbs stress, swallows emotions, pushes through exhaustion, and pretends it's fine. It protects you by hiding its own needs. But after 50, the body decides it's time for a different relationship. It stops whispering and starts speaking plainly. The tight shoulders, the heavy breath, the sensitive stomach, the restless nights, these aren't signs of decline. They are messages, invitations, gentle taps on the door of your awareness saying, pay attention. Something here needs softness, honesty, or healing. The body becomes more transparent with age, more truthful, more direct, not because it is weaker, but because it finally trusts you enough to reveal what it has been holding all these years. And when you listen, truly listen, something remarkable happens. You begin to understand yourself on a deeper level. You notice the connection between your stress and your muscles, between your grief and your breath, between your thoughts and your heartbeat. Your body becomes your teacher, not a burden, not a problem, but a guide pointing you toward the places where healing is ready to unfold. So instead of asking, "What's wrong with me?" try asking, "What is my body trying to show me right now?" When you listen with compassion, the body softens. When you honor its truth, the heart calms. And when you follow its wisdom, healing becomes natural. Not forced, not complicated, just the next step in a long, beautiful journey of being alive. Your body isn't losing strength, it's gaining honesty. And in that honesty lies your greatest chance for real, lasting healing. Let's settle into this part with the same quiet depth it speaks of. You know, many people misunderstand silence. They think it's emptiness, a void, a place where nothing happens. But those of us who have lived long enough, who have crossed 50, 60, maybe even 70, we eventually discover something far more profound. Silence is not the absence of life. It is the birthplace of truth. When the world around you gets loud, the news, the worries, the rush of daily responsibilities, your inner voice becomes harder and harder to hear. It's like trying to notice the glow of a candle in the middle of a raging storm. But when you sit in silence even for a few breaths, something remarkable begins to unfold. Thoughts slow down. The heart softens. And underneath the noise, underneath the habits of the mind, a deeper knowing emerges, gentle but unmistakably clear. Silence is where life finally has the space to speak to you. Not through words, but through a feeling, a direction. A quiet yes or no rising from the center of your chest. In silence, you remember what truly matters. You see what is real and what is merely distraction. You sense the difference between fear and intuition, between reaction and wisdom. Every answer you've been searching for, about your relationships, your past, your next step in life, even your healing, has been waiting in this still place inside you. Not hidden, just overshadowed by the noise of the world. And here's the beautiful thing. You don't have to create silence. You only have to allow it. A few breaths, a pause between thoughts, a moment before you speak. In that space, clarity rises, quietly, naturally, like dawn light filling a dark room. Silence is not emptiness, it is fullness, it is intelligence, it is guidance. And when you learn to sit with it, even for a few moments each day, you'll realize the answers you were chasing have been patiently waiting inside you all along. Let's ease into this next truth, one that feels less like learning something new and more like remembering something ancient. You see, many people spend their whole lives searching for inner light. Through books, teachers' workshops, or spiritual practices, they imagine it as something hidden far away, something they need to earn or discover. But after working with so many souls over 50, I can tell you with absolute clarity, your inner light was never lost. It was only forgotten. You didn't come into this world empty. You came in glowing, curious, open, trusting, connected. But life, with all its joys and wounds, slowly wrapped layers around that light. Responsibilities, heartbreak, fear, survival, and eventually you forgot the brightness that was always there. So when you visualize light, when you imagine that soft golden glow moving through your body, you're not inventing anything. You're unlocking a memory older than your struggles, older than your name, older than the person you've become to get through life. Visualization is simply the key. The door was always inside you. And the light, it has been waiting patiently for the moment you decide to turn inward. As that Imagined light pours over your heart. Your belly, your spine, a kind of recognition rises. A gentle, familiar warmth. A quiet whisper saying, "This is who I've always been." You're not chasing enlightenment. You're remembering your essence. A calm, radiant presence that has survived every chapter of your story. So the next time you close your eyes and breathe in that light, don't think you're trying to become someone new. You're simply returning to someone you've always been. Light visualization doesn't create your inner light. It awakens it. It reminds you. And it invites that ancient brightness to step forward again. Softly, steadily, unmistakably yours. Let's close this chapter together. Slowly, like returning home after a long walk. So many people see healing as a struggle, something to conquer, something to fight through, something to win. And maybe that's because much of life has trained us to push, to endure, to survive. But healing, real healing, has never belonged to the language of battle. Healing is a homecoming. It's not about defeating your pain. It's about understanding it. It's not about overpowering your past. It's about walking with it until it no longer weighs you down. And it's certainly not about fixing a broken self. It's about remembering the vastness you were born from. You see, you are not just a body carrying wounds. You are a soul. Ancient, expansive, connected to something far larger than any single moment of suffering. When you begin to heal, you're not moving towards some new version of yourself. You're returning to the limitless being you've always been. Think of it like this. Healing is not climbing a mountain. It's setting down the stones you never needed to carry. It's not shouting your way through darkness. It's allowing your own quiet light to guide you out. And the more you soften, the more you breathe, the more you listen, the closer you come to that spacious, infinite part of yourself, the part untouched by time, untouched by regret, untouched by fear. Healing is the moment you stop asking, "How do I win this battle?" and start asking, "How do I return to who I truly am?" It's the moment you feel yourself expand again, beyond your worries, beyond your age, beyond your story, into a presence that has always been here patiently waiting. So as you continue on your journey, remember this. You're not fighting your way toward wholeness. You're walking back into the infinite, back into the light, back into the vast, timeless truth of who you are. Healing was never a war. It has always been an invitation to come home to yourself. Let me sit with you a little longer. The way two old friends might settle into a quiet autumn afternoon, speaking softly about the things that truly matter. At our age, after all the seasons we've lived through, we finally begin to understand that some things cannot be conquered, pushed through, or fixed with sheer willpower. Healing is one of those things. You see, for most of our lives, we've been taught to fight hardship, fight illness, fight our emotions, fight the shadows inside us. We learn to power through, to be strong, to move on, as if endurance alone could untangle everything we've ever carried. But here's a truth that only began to land in my bones after I turned 50. A truth as gentle as a breath, yet deep enough to change the way you move through the world. Healing is not about winning a battle. Healing is the journey of returning to the boundlessness within you, a place where there is nothing to defeat and nothing to lose. Think about this for a moment. When you fight your pain, you're fighting a part of yourself. And have we ever truly won a war against ourselves? No, battles drain us. Healing restores us. Healing doesn't drag you into combat. It invites you back home. When people hear the word infinite or boundless, they tend to think of galaxies, stars, or the vastness of outer space. But the infinite is not distant. It's not unreachable. It's happening inside you every time you breathe. Each time you inhale, a small piece of the universe enters your body. Each time you exhale, a small piece of you returns to the universe, a constant exchange, ancient, effortless, intimate. This simple fact reveals something profound. You are not limited to this body. You are not limited to your past. You are part of an infinite movement. And healing simply guides you back into that flow. No pushing, no forcing, no fighting. Just returning, softly, naturally, as if you were following the current back home. I've met so many people in their 50s and 60s who've spent a lifetime believing they must stay strong, hold everything together and push through whatever comes. But something beautiful happens when they finally choose to soften. They begin to heal, almost effortlessly. Because healing does not grow out of tension, healing grows out of gentleness. It begins the moment you say to yourself, I don't need to fight anymore. Think of a door that has been stuck for years. The harder you push it, the more it refuses to open. But when you try a softer touch, when you change your approach, it moves. The human heart is the same. The nervous system is the same. The soul is the same. Softness is not weakness. Softness is wisdom, the kind of wisdom you only earn after carrying pain long enough to finally put it down. Now, this might be hard to accept, but it's one of the greatest teachings life has offered me. Pain doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to show you what needs to be understood, released, or forgiven. When you treat pain like an enemy, you end up fighting yourself. When you treat pain like a messenger, you finally begin to listen. Pain tells you where the heart is still hurting, where the body still holds memories, where the spirit still asks for attention. And when you listen, the pain softens, it transforms, it becomes wisdom. But when you fight it, it becomes a wound. Healing isn't the act of suppressing your pain. Healing is the act of giving your pain a voice so that it can finally dissolve into understanding. Sometimes we forget this, but it's true. From your very first breath, you were part of something boundless, part of the rhythm of nature, part of the pulse of the universe, part of the quiet intelligence that moves through all living things. Life experiences, heartbreak, fear, trauma, expectations covered that truth like clouds covering the sky. But the sky never disappears. Your infinite nature never disappears. It simply gets obscured for a while. Healing is not about becoming something new. It's about remembering what's always been there. It's about clearing the clouds so your inner sky can be seen again. Have you noticed how much of life is spent chasing the next thing? I'll be peaceful when I finish this. I'll be happy after I fix that. I'll heal once everything makes sense. But peace does not live in the future. It lives behind you, inside the parts of yourself you left behind along the way. Healing is not about moving forward. Healing is about turning inward. It's about returning to the inner rooms of your heart, the ones that have been waiting for years. It's whispering to those forgotten parts of yourself, I'm here now. I'm listening. You're safe. Not pushing, not achieving, just returning. The moment you begin to see yourself as part of something vast, something timeless, your pain changes shape. It becomes smaller, softer, less defining. Because in the perspective of the infinite, a heartbreak is not the end of you. A mistake is not your identity. A loss is not the whole story. A wound is just one scene in a much larger film. You realize there is no single event powerful enough to define your existence. You are bigger than your memories. You are deeper than your fears. You are broader than your history. You are infinite even while living in a finite body. Healing is simply recognizing that truth again. Think of the wildflowers on the side of the road. They don't fight to grow. They don't push to bloom. They don't force themselves into beauty. They simply become what they already are. And that's what happens to a person when they stop fighting themselves, when they stop trying to be perfect, when they stop trying to control everything, when they stop trying to win healing. They blossom naturally, quietly in their own time. Some people don't truly begin to live until after 60 because that's when they finally stop battling the world and start befriending themselves. It brings you back to where you've always belonged. This is the message I always give to those who feel lost in their pain. You don't need to travel far to heal. You only need to return to the place where you abandoned yourself. And when you return, even slowly, you discover something gentle and astonishing. You never lost your connection to the infinite. You only lost your connection to yourself. The infinite, peace, clarity, spaciousness, has been waiting, patiently, quietly, lovingly. It never left you. It never stopped calling you. It simply waited for you to come home. Healing is returning to the vastness of your spirit, returning to the rhythm of your breath, returning to the quiet wisdom of your heart, returning to the truth that you were never broken, only forgotten. Healing has never been a war. It has always been an invitation, a gentle, ancient invitation to come home, to yourself, to the infinite, to the light that has always been yours.